talk to me about the big news of the week. Obviously, Tom Brady getting out of the AFC, away from teams like you guys and the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, and heading to Tampa Bay. Your thoughts on that move?
Well, so I was surprised. My guess was, he was going to go to L.A., especially with the announcement of his, new production company. But I think him and Bruce Arians are going to have a great relationship. I think, Coach Arians is one of those kind of guys that, really rallies around veteran players. And, he kinds of, he likes to coach those guys. And I think Tom Brady will, obviously bring a lot to Tampa Bay. And it'll be high expectations for those guys, right off the bat.
Tyrann, when I watch you guys, first of all, congratulations on the Super Bowl championship. I thought one of the turning points was when I saw you on the sideline going off, imploring your boys to step up after y'all were down by about 10. But I got to ask you this question because there's so many people, when they talk about Tom Brady, they bring up the path of easier resistance or easiest resistance. Patrick Mahomes, your quarterback, is that dude right now. Nobody can deny that. He's the best in the game. But the thought of not wanting to go against him as being incentive for any quarterback, to me, takes away from competitive fervor. Just from a generic or a general perspective, how do you feel as a football player when you hear former football players on the air talking about the need to avoid Patrick Mahomes if you want some level of success? What's your thought process about that kind of thinking?
Yeah, for one, I think Pat Mahomes is special. I think he's going to be, one of the best quarterbacks to really ever play the game. I think, in my opinion, when I think about Tom Brady, I understand that he's probably one of the, the greatest competitors of our generation. He's one of those quarterbacks that always got the job done. So I've never really looked at him as a guy to, per se, take the easy way out. I feel like he's always a guy that's really proven himself, and I think the next challenge for him is to go to Tampa Bay and try to make those guys really a championship caliber team.
You're actually one of my favorite players to watch. I know I'm not alone in that sentiment. And we just came off a segment where we were talking about running backs getting paid and how they don't get paid. I know you've had some comments about that recently, especially as it relates to Tennessee. But from my point of view, it's the nature of the position. All football players are underpaid. If that wasn't the case, there wouldn't be a salary cap, because if you took that away, you'd all get more. So we know you're underpaid. Let's start there. But within that, quarterbacks are overpaid, and that's the way it is. They are. That's why when you pay them, you don't win championships. And other positions are underpaid. You, for example, are pegged around $13, $14 million a season in your contracts. Quarterbacks are pegged higher. What is your feeling about the segment we just talked about, that subject matter? For example, Tennessee, Tannehill gets paid, Derrick Henry gets franchised.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating, especially, from a player perspective. I've had the opportunity to actually play against, both of those guys, actually. And in my opinion, I feel like Tennessee really leaned on Derrick Henry. They didn't necessarily lean on Ryan Tannehill, although Ryan Tannehill stepped up in some big moments and had some big games for them. I feel like Derrick Henry was really their personality. He was their attitude, and he was really their morale, a lot of the times throughout the season. So, to see a guy like that kind of get pushed to the side is definitely frustrating for a player.
Tyrann, I have a lot of formers here in this next question. So you're a former Texan, your former teammate, DeAndre Hopkins, gets traded to your former team, the Arizona Cardinals. What's your reaction to that news?
Yeah, I was probably just as shocked as everybody else. I really couldn't imagine, DeAndre Hopkins really not, retiring, in a Texans uniform. I, spent a season with him, a couple years ago, and he's probably everything you want in a player, especially a teammate, man. Not only the things he does, on the football field, Monday nights, Thursday nights, Sunday nights. It's the kind of impact he had in the community as well. He was one of those guys that was always out there. He was very vocal about, especially the voiceless. He gave a lot of people hope in Houston. So I think to see him go is definitely shocking. But to see him unite with his greatest, mentor in Larry Fitzgerald, I'm pretty sure those guys are going to do something special in Arizona.
So since he's gone, from the AFC. Obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs are the reigning Super Bowl champions or whatever. When you look at the competition around the AFC, Tom Brady is gone. D-Hop is no longer in Houston. There's still Deshaun Watson in Houston, no. There's still Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. When you look at a threat to the supremacy of the Kansas City Chiefs at this particular moment in time, what team comes to your mind that y'all need to watch out for more than anybody?
Well, I think, well, I don't mean to say this, Stephen, but I think every team, we should watch out for. But I think you got to look at a team like the Baltimore Ravens. You got to, first of all, you got to look at the guy that's really leading that ship in Lamar Jackson. And, he's so humble, he's so hungry, and the sky's the limit for him. And I think he'll continue to push that team, that franchise to really great heights. And you look at some of the pieces that they were able to add, the last couple of days in free agency. I think they're trying to make a run for it. So I definitely see the Ravens in there, and but never take lightly, really any opponent, in the NFL.
Looking at the other side of the ball, as someone who you'd have to worry about if you were playing them, I look at Tyreek Hill, and I think there's a sense about him early on in his career. He's like a special teamsy kind of player, and so people haven't caught up on the reality. Like when you hear the best receivers in football, a lot of times his name is left off. But is he the best receiver in football? It seems that he's underrated. What are your feelings about Tyreek Hill?
I think, in my opinion, he's definitely one of the best receivers in football. I've had a chance to really practice against him, go up against him in one-on-ones, no cameras, and he's crafty. And I think a lot of times that get overshadowed just simply by his speed. You got to understand, a lot of times when he lines up, he's lining up in two-man coverages, cover two coverages. So, his route combinations get limited in a sense.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.